Because by including a more diverse list of professionals, you're opening up doors for more for your business as well. This is not a charity case. You're not
Right.
doing us a favor. You're doing yourself a favor, because by excluding a certain, Black people or Black event professionals, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're actually missing out on all the amazing things that we can bring.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Hope you guys are enjoying warm weather if you are in the New York area. If you are elsewhere, I think yesterday Braun said that it's supposed to rain like all week in Virginia. So if you're in Virginia, I apologize for all the rain, but I hope that you can enjoy some of it. Tonight we have Akeshi joining us, and I see she just joined. We're going to get her on. Hey there, Stacy. We're really excited for more learning tonight. You're at your office.
I am. I returned home.
I love it. How's it feel? Does it feel like
Oh, sorry.
does it feel good to be like back in your office? And
It's different. It's different, but it's gotten me in a better work mode. I was blending into my home a little bit too much. So hubby was like, I think you should go to the office and see how you feel. So here I am. Sorry. Of course I'm not. I moved all my setup to my home, and now I have to move it all back. So I have to tape my phone to my computer. Look at that. We're creatives that create. We get creatives.
That's right.
We get creative.
Desiree just said, "Hey, ladies.
How are you?"
So how are you doing? Are you doing good?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm busy. I'm just keeping busy, trying to reset, rewind, restore, revamp, all of that. So that's where I'm at right now. But I'm good. I'm good. I have things in the works that I'm working on, and I've been doing a lot of lives and podcasts. This is my third one today, but I know that these conversations are important, and I'm happy to have them.
You're awesome. So just for anyone who doesn't know that's joining, so Akeshi has this amazing event design and floral design and home design and decor and candles and
All of the above.
she pretty much anything. I think the only thing maybe like she's not creating like dog food for your dog, but that could be like, I don't know. But pretty much anything other than like dog food, she's got it already on the wrap. So the woman is everywhere. She's doing everything. And I'm just, thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
No, thanks for doing this. Oh boy. Okay, let's get this together here. There we go. I think I got it.
Here's so funny. So tell me how things have been like the last couple of weeks. Like about like 2 months.
I'm trying to find the word. It's been, exhausting a little bit. I feel like, we've always been in this bubble or this, oh my goodness, in this, I'm going to get it together. I promise you guys. So I feel like we've always been in this place where we've kind of not accepted, but we've learned to deal with all the stuff we don't talk about.
Yep.
And now, we're having to dig and relive and, kind of address all these things. So it's a little mentally exhausting, but these are necessary conversations. My tilted. So I'm happy to have them. It's just, I'm learning that we need time to reset. So while you're doing the hard work and you're sharing the stories, you need time to restore, because it is emotionally, draining. And but that's how I'm at. I do that, then I go do something physical. I've just spent more time exercising and working out and doing anything. And then I just hang out with friends sometimes when I need a little break. So that's what I've been doing.
I love it. It. And so now, for people who don't know you, why don't you tell a little bit of your backstory? So like how you kind of joined the industry, and then also I think it's helpful for people to understand too, just in terms of the wedding industry being a fairly white industry,
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to be a woman of color, a Black
Mm-hmm.
woman in the wedding industry. Obviously, you've reached these amazing heights now, but when you were first starting out, what your experience was like? Because again, I think it's an important story for people to understand that like
For sure.
what you've gone through to achieve what you have has been
Yeah.
50 times harder. And the
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
like it,
I'm glad you're saying it and I'm not being asked because I feel like it's just, it's out there, right? Um, so I started about over 8 years ago as a planner, and then I started designing about 6 years ago. But when I first started, to be honest, like every woman they start out, they have this insecurity and you're not so sure of yourself and you're looking for approval from your peers or people that have been there and looking for mentors. I didn't have any of those. So what I had was just my confidence and my go-getter attitude. Like I can't, since I'm doing this, it has to work. But I think that once I hit a place where people started to find out about me and get to know me, it was more, I got a lot of like, who are you? Almost like not directly, by the way. So these things we're talking about, it's not to our faces, but you feel it. You just know something is not right. You feel it. But I got a lot of like, almost like, how dare you? Or, you know, kind of like, there's, oh, here's this other new person, and it didn't feel comfortable, it didn't feel warm. And a lot of people, especially in Chicago, I've been talking about that lately. It's just what it is. These are uncomfortable conversations, but since we're going to open up that can of worms, let's just lay it all out. It wasn't the most welcoming, like, real in terms of real intentions. It was more just, oh, I love your work, and then that's it. So true, a few people like that welcomed me, and I collaborated. It worked great, but then there's always everyone else, and I've kind of lived in that world, to be honest, in Chicago, and I'm okay with it because I've had to build my business up to a place where it's not reliant on people's approval. It's not reliant on people's referrals necessarily. So I've specifically built a business where I create my own pipeline. And I don't have to be on anyone's. I mean, it would be great if, people sent their clients to me and stuff like that, but that's not the case. And, these are the uncomfortable and not okay conversations that we're having. So I've just had to like understand what I'm stepping into and create a game plan to survive.
And,
And my goal, right? Huh?
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, I was saying my goal was always to always push forward regardless. They're very, for example, I gave an example in Chicago how, and I was, either I said this to a friend or was on the podcast, but I gave an example as to how there are very few people in the industry, in the wedding industry, that have books on event design or floral. We can count them in probably with 10 fingers. But yet, the support on this side versus the other side, very different, you know? And we may dance around it and say it's not a race thing or whatever, but that's exactly what it is. Because why would you support A and not support B?
Right.
Right? When everyone is just striving to make the industry better and to educate and grow together. So there's a huge gap, in terms of how we support each other and how we really embrace each other. We say that on the outside that we're community over competition, but we don't live that truth. We don't actually apply that. There are no examples that I can give you that is so constant that actually validates that. And that's the harsh truth about our events industry. We can go deeper. I don't know how deep you want to go.
Yeah. Great. And so Desiree from Dejanay Events, she said truth, and so did Happy Smiles Creation. I mean, and that's the thing. Again, it's a truth that if you've lived that and that's your experience, obviously it is true. But for people who are like it's not been their truth, they haven't experienced that. This is all new to them, and so
Is it new?
Well, I
Is
think
it new?
So this is I think a very interesting point that a lot of people don't like to acknowledge, that
Okay.
I don't, and again, not so much that Black people don't acknowledge it, it's more the white people are not willing to acknowledge it. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the fact that, one, there is racism, whether it's
Right.
overt or not, but also that the experiences, they do exist. Like, so Jane Elliott did this study, a research study in
Mm-hmm.
Iowa back in the 70s, Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes. If you guys haven't seen it, look up. It's called A Class Divided. We have it on our resources blog page for
Okay.
Black. But so it details, and one of the things that she was on a subsequent kind of like, I think it was like 60 Minutes or something, where she basically was in front of this group of white people, and she in an
Mm-hmm.
auditorium, and she said, okay, everyone, anyone who believes that would like to be treated as
Oh,
Black
I saw
are
that.
treated
Yes.
in America, stand up. And nobody stood up. And she's like, no,
They
I'm sorry,
were.
you didn't
Yeah,
hear me right. If you want to be treated like, stand
for
up. And
sure.
nobody stood up. And she's like,
That's a great
so
point.
don't say you don't
You
know
know.
when you know.
You know.
Yeah,
And you know why else I feel like you hear it. Those conversations and those side comments are going to you, not us.
right,
You
right,
know, you choose not to acknowledge it. And you choose to dance around it because you think it doesn't affect you.
right. Or
But
and if you pretend like it doesn't exist, you think that
right,
it's like it won't affect you. And now
of
everything,
course. So yeah, if you benefit from white privilege, why would you want to do that?
right, right,
Right? In that's what we've been doing. So the Black industry professionals or Black people in general that are, we're doing damage control and we're just managing. We're doing the ice pack every day, and then we're like, okay, you're gonna be okay tomorrow, and get up and get back to work. But the people that actually experience that are white friends, and they hear it, they see it. You have to see in a magazine that there's not one Black couple featured. You have to notice that in every publication there is a white person every single time. If you put all the covers in all the years those magazines have been there, and you look at the color, I mean, come on, you have to see, we have eyes here. Where
right,
it's, you choose not to because it doesn't affect you. That's
right.
my point. So I call it this new wokeness. I don't even know if that's proper grammar, but everyone is all of a sudden woke. I'm like, this new wokeness is interesting to me because, but these are your friends. So you have to also notice when you go to an industry event and it's for the top industry professionals, that there's only one Black person at a table of 60 people. You have to notice that. You have to notice that when people are giving, Harper's Bazaar does something every year after year, top planners in the world. You have to notice there's not one Black person there. We notice because it's happening to us, but you have to notice. It's just, I would notice if I'm in a room with all Black people and there's one white person there, I would notice that white person. And I would say, oh, this is weird. It's an interesting mix. So it's interesting that everyone is saying, oh, I've never really paid attention. You haven't paid attention. You've chosen not to pay attention because you think it doesn't affect you. You
Exactly.
get to go on those covers. You get to do those features. So why change that? But these are your friends that you dine with and you hang out with. So my new thing is, I will not break bread with anyone that cannot fight for me. I will not dine with you. I will not have coffee with you. I just won't do it because we're all deceiving ourselves here. And that is exactly where I'm at. And I want people to understand too, this is not a battle. We're not fighting. I'm just taking a stand. I'm in a space where I'm like, enough is enough.
Right.
Because you also have to be uncomfortable with the fact that the person that is just as talented as you is working their butt off day and night while you do the minimum and you get the contracts. It makes no
Right.
sense to me,
Right.
you know? But, there's been instances where as human beings, we could have changed that, but you chose not to.
Right.
You could have changed and say, I don't like how this is going on. I'm going to make an effort to get to know more Black industry professionals and make an effort to make sure that my people I work with are diverse, but you refuse to. You choose to go to one specific, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we've been doing. And now we're all everybody's awake. I'm happy we're all woke, right? I don't even know. Yeah, I'm Google that and see if wokeness is a thing. But you know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like my point is, it's interesting the level of shock that is I'm hearing. Like I'm so shocked to hear these stories. What are you talking about? It's been happening in front of you for years,
Right.
and you've been benefiting from that. I gave an example in my podcast. I'm like, if you paid attention, you went into a hotel where you do your beautiful events, the person that parks your car is more than likely Black. The person that grabs your bags is more than likely Black. The person that checks you in is more than likely Black. The person that gives you the walkthrough is white. The person that cooks the food in the kitchen and does the grunt work is Black. The person that makes sure your clients' events are great, the person that introduce you at the end of the night, like they're going to close out, that person is Black. So there's no way you're going to tell me that you haven't noticed that. You don't see that. It's right there in front of you. So if it doesn't affect you, the money that goes in your pocket comes from the hard work of these people.
Right.
How do you not see that? So
Yeah.
that baffles me.
And I think that one, when they're when people say like, oh, I had no idea, or I can't believe that, or I've never heard of that before,
Right.
it's it so Desiree had said, she put a comment, she said, it's because you chose to look the other way. And I think
Yeah.
that's so key, because if number one, if you are not aware of what, I mean, any professional who, especially if you're a planner, if you're an event designer, if you're there on the day of for a wedding, and you
Mm-hmm.
choose not to see
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? You're
Well,
making it
because it benefits you. I think
right.
one part of it is, if why undo something that puts you ahead? By inclusion and diversity, it means that we have to now you have to share this space. So let's be honest here. First, I'm not speaking for everyone. That's my interpretation of this, because why wouldn't you speak up? Why wouldn't you tell? I've actually heard, I don't know if they forgot, but like someone to say something to me, and I'll say, that sounds racist to me. So I'm assuming you want me to go tell this person what you just said, correct? That's why you're saying these things to me? And they go, oh, no, 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 no. You misunderstood. But you just literally made a racist comment,
Right.
and you looked around and saw me, and I'm like, okay, so I'm assuming I can tell the person what you just said. Now you're
Right.
taking it back.
Right.
But these conversations happen all the time. It didn't start in 2020. These
Right.
conversations have always happened, and these conversations have been nurtured, and there's been engagement. If it was a one-sided conversation, it would have ended by now.
Right.
But these conversations have been nurtured because it's a two-way conversation. There's no way one person is going to continue to have a conversation to one person and the person is like, what are you talking about?
Right. Right. Right.
These conversations continue to happen because you allow them to happen, because you're afraid to stand up, and because you're afraid to speak up. Because once you speak up, you may have to make room in that chair for someone else.
Right. Right.
That's the reality of our industry, and that's the reality of our world, and it's beyond sad.
And I think that's something that, I mean, I've heard it from many different people, talking about like, I'm not saying I want to take your seat at the table. I just want you to move over because there's room.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to let me have a seat at your table, I'm going to go chop down a tree and build my own table, and then you have people who are like, well, why is there something like the B Collective? Why is there something like, Munaluchi Bride, where,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being featured in these,
Yeah.
Black wedding industry magazines. And it's like, well, did you notice that nobody was featuring Black wedding professionals in
Yeah.
all their publications? Like, should they just not be like, I mean, like, are you just saying they should accept the fact that like, oh, you just don't get published? Like,
I
I
think
guess.
that, and I think people misunderstand the reason why those magazines exist in the first place. These publications exist because there was everything else was turned down. No one would feature it, so they created a platform to feature that. But they have not closed their embracing everyone. They have
Right,
not closed the doors to. It's not a all black thing. They're showcasing and highlighting that that is what it is, because nowhere else in the world can you find these faces,
right,
and that's a problem. Nowhere else in the world can you be inspired by all races.
right,
Everything is white, white, white. That's the problem. So the fact that you question why, and these publications, like I said, are not built to shut anyone out. They're built to uplift and highlight the amazing people that that continue to be ignored and celebrated.
right,
You
right,
know, if you grab a publication right now, flip through the magazine and tell me what you see. It's right there in front of your eyes. So I think the first thing I was saying, like in terms of what you can do for people, let's drop the defense. This is not a time to be defensive. You know, you're dealing with a situation that runs deep and hurts a lot, and has is hurting a lot of people that have been nursing that pain forever.
yeah,
So you have been benefiting. You don't get to come in and add another defense. This is not the space or time. This is a
right,
time to listen, and whether you and listen from a place of compassion. I think that's the thing. Yes, you can never understand because you're not black, and that's okay. You know, I know what white privilege is from the outside. I have never experienced it. I don't benefit anything by being black and Nigerian, but I know what it is, just like you know what black people go through. So only thing you can do is come from a place of compassion first and foremost. You know, start with compassion, but then self evaluation is tough. Looking at yourself and being real. You can do this by yourself. You don't have to do it with anyone. But looking at yourself and looking at your practices that you've mastered and taught your team over the years, and asking yourself, am I part of the problem? Have I embraced diversity myself? It's not enough to post a black screen or to black hashtag Black Lives Matter. What does what does your heart tell you when you look at yourself and look at your portfolio, and you've been in business, whatever? Look at the people you work with, look at the people you hang out with, and ask yourself how diverse you really are.
right.
Let's start there.
I love that.
That's
And
step
yeah,
one.
yeah, because a lot of people are, especially, in the wedding events industry, looking at it like, well, okay, so I'll just go find some more black professionals and
Yeah.
just get to know them. When it's like, look at your own friend group. Is it
Hmm.
diverse, and why or why not? I mean, if it's not
Hmm.
diverse, that should tell you something about yourself that you need to work on in the first place,
Right.
right?
Because that's true. And there was like, oh, don't just pick up something and do a pity addition to
Right,
your. But to be honest, I'm not even seeing that. Regardless of everything we've been saying and we've been hammering about how there's a lack of diversities, venues need to spend time doing research and getting to know people that can actually benefit their hotel and their venues. Because by including a more diverse list of professionals, you're opening up doors for more for your business as well. This is not a charity case. You're not
right,
doing us a favor. You're doing yourself a favor, because by excluding a certain, black people or black event professionals, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're actually missing out on all the amazing things that we can bring
right.
by hiring an amazing black floral and event designer that would show up in your venue and kill it for your clients and give you amazing photos. How is that not beneficial to you as well?
Yeah,
I'm in my lane. I've got my photos. I'm good. It's you're missing out. I want people to hear and understand that. Like by shying away or being scared to even include diversity in your wedding vendors, you're excluding amazing talents that can help finalize the beauty of that wedding for your clients and can possibly get you featured or press. Like, you're taking away from your your own progress, by the way. So it goes deep, and there's so much, but it's not my place to tell you what's good or bad for you. I can't undo what you were born into and grown up with. To be honest, this thing is deep. People grew up thinking this is okay. So I'm not going to change that in June 2020. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, oh, racism is gone and the
Right.
event industry is fixed. Now let's have a great summer. It's not how this works. So I'm like, let's start with work on yourself. Don't worry about your neighbor. Work on you. Look at yourself and be honest with yourself, and then start making those changes.
Yeah.
And start making real connections, not the make me feel better, can we have coffee, DMs. Like, make an effort, and
Right.
maybe go in there. Someone said Google is free. Google is free. If you really want to get to know someone, it helps to do research about that person. If you type anyone's name that's been in the business for a while, you get to know something about them. So at least we're meeting at a place where I'm not like, tell me about yourself. I'm like, hi, my name is Akeshi. I'm Nigerian. I've been in business. I don't want to go on a job interview with anyone. I'm tired. I just don't. I want you to meet me at a place where you've done a little bit of the work.
Right. And I think
it's
so important.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're trying to diversify your network, or if you have a friend, right? Or you're meeting someone that you really want that relationship, that connection to work. You're going to do the hard work. Even if you are going on a job interview, the one thing that you're supposed to do is research that company, right? Like, you don't just go online. Like,
it's all online. It's literally all online.
Yes. And I guess what frustrates me is that it applies to every other aspect of your life. What makes you think that it's not going to apply to this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not like there's, and I was talking with my son about it, and we were laughing because we were like, it's not like there's a black Google, and if you're white, you don't
you need a password to get into
it. I don't know.
That's too funny.
Like, you have access
it's true.
to Google. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead and do some research, and that's, I think people are oftentimes not wanting to actually do the hard work. It's like, me. And it's like, no, like, just like anything else in your business, you don't know the answer, you look it up, you figure it out because you want the answer. If you don't want the answer, you don't want to do the hard work. And then it's like, leave it on self, like, that's not my problem.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to take it seriously when it's like, you can tell when it's just like, I want to get to know you more and learn more about you. I'm like, but all that stuff is online though. Like, just saying. And then people also have to understand that you're addressing a very tired group of people. Like, everybody's just, between COVID and this, it's just exhausting. Like I said, we've been nursing that wound for a while, but now we're going to rip out the Band-Aid. So now everyone has to relive these experiences that, there are many things I had to go dig out of my brain. Like, oh, that did happen. Because I've just tucked it away so I can move on to my next day. But now we're opening up this big, unpleasant, experience that's been happening for years. And, so that's why I said you have to approach things from a place of compassion, because you have to understand what's going on when you're reaching out. And it has to come from a place of, like, you have to be genuine about it. It can't just be a random, let's meet for coffee so you can tell me all about yourself. Right. I would really appreciate if someone, like, I met with someone and they'll say, oh, I read that you're Nigerian and you're this. Like, we do these Instagram is fantastic because it's all public, all the public pages, but I do an intro Friday all the time, and I go deep. I share a lot about myself. So spend time going through the feed and actually looking at the content that person is putting out, so you get to know them a little bit more. So in person, or that first phone call doesn't feel like a job interview,
right?
Of like, tell me about your goals and aspirations. We don't want to do that. So do a little bit of work so I know that you appreciate me and you really, really want to get to know me.
Yeah.
And it's also not, it shouldn't feel like a favor that you're doing to this person. You really, really want to get to know them. Just like we want to get to know our clients, sometimes we go researching, don't we? When you have a client that has, some bucks and you're like, I need to know about this person before this call, you do the work and you research them on Facebook and LinkedIn. So do the same for these people you want to get to know.
Right. And understand that
Yeah.
what they are bringing to you, and you said this before, which I think is so important, what that relationship can do for you as a white person,
Yeah.
it enriches your life a million times more.
Yeah.
Most
100%.
the Black wedding professional that you just asked for coffee, they probably have some white friends. And so it's not like they don't know anything, and they clearly live in this world. And so they're fully aware of what
Mm-hmm.
white privilege is, even if they haven't experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're the one who benefits most from that relationship.
Yeah.
So the onus is on you. Like, you need to do that extra work. Like, it's not,
Yeah.
you're not doing a pity, it's not a favor, it's not a charity case.
Yeah.
You're the one who's the charity case, that they are literally taking
Mm-hmm.
time and energy when they're already
Yeah.
depleted to have this relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the hope is that these new relationships blossom into a beautiful collaboration where it's mutual. We'll all just, my goal is like, let's meet in the middle. Let's meet at a fair and even place. It can't be 5% 95. It has to be somewhere close to the middle where it feels, and it has to feel organic as well. So I've been saying, get to know people individually. Don't assume that I've had an office ever since I've had a business in Chicago. And I can tell you, very few people have come in and said, I want to come in. We'll host events and things like that. And, certain groups just stay far away, and I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe why, so I haven't done all of that. I just feel like right now, it's just not my job right now to do any more hosting,
You are.
I'm just gonna lean back in my chair and like, so what's going on, and that's where I'm at the moment. But it's also important not to get so angry where you're scared, like you're pushing people away that truly want to get to know you. So we have to be careful too, to also meet them halfway. If someone is trying, maybe they truly want to meet. And maybe the first outreach or first approach was not the best, and then we come from a place of compassion as well and say, okay, I'm going to give this a shot, you know. But, I feel like we're just starting in this weird place and we'll just pick it up from there. But, I can only give what I can give. If I
Right.
don't have it to give, I just don't have it to give. If mentally, I'm not there. I just can't. I really can't do it. And I hope people understand that this has been a rough year, let alone all of this. So it's a lot to process, and everybody's asking for the same thing. So I can't have 10 cups of coffee a day. It's just, so patience, compassion, and and again, self review or self evaluation, and really look at, I say start with your heart. You have an open mind if you have an open heart, and you look inside, and if you think you've done everything that you should do, then you're good. You know?
Yeah. And so one of the things too, it's so important for people to understand that, obviously everyone, especially if they just got woke, and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm a horrible person. I need to change. What can I do?
Right.
They buy like 50 books and they haven't started reading any of them yet. And they're like, I'm going to watch all of these movies. So they've saved them all for their next.
Mhm.
Then they contact a million people and they're like, okay, I'm gonna have coffee, but they haven't actually done that extra work to do any of those things well. And
Right.
it's not so different than anything else in your business. You can't attack
Hmm.
your business in 1 second or one day.
Exactly.
You have
Yeah.
to really be, really calculated about what you're doing, how you're doing it, what time you're investing,
Yeah.
and understand that like sometimes not everything works out for that one thing that you thought. So like
Hmm.
if I contact Akeshi and I'm like, hi, I really want to get to know you better and we have coffee, and you're like, I just need, like, you're like the 50th person that's asked me for coffee.
Right.
I have no idea who you are. Like, you're going to have to just
Yeah.
wait a minute. And instead of being like, okay, and then doing nothing because because clearly you're not the only Black wedding professional that they could reach out to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there are so many things. And I think looking within, exactly what you said a million times over. Like, there is Me and White Supremacy, the book, there's
Hmm.
actually a workbook. So
Oh, wow.
love that for people who are like, I want to do hard work, but I really don't know exactly. I think I'm okay, but maybe not. Like, if you take that book and you do the workbook, you're
Hmm.
like, you're diving deep in you. And it's
Yeah.
like a therapist. Like, it's really helping you think through, like, where have I contributed? Where was I,
Hmm.
whether willfully or not, you
Yeah.
know, because that's how you were brought up and it really didn't dawn on you because you didn't think about it. Like, you didn't pay attention at all.
Right.
Those are things that, like, you do that hard work and it's like, yeah, then maybe when you're further along, you can have a really great conversation with Akeshi. But right now,
Right.
like you have to understand that not every Black person is like, hi, I'm going to be your diversity therapist and like help you out. Because
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there, but I think also you have to be in it for the long haul. If you're in it for the long haul, you would not be in a haste to know 5 Black people today. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be part of your norm, and you're going to develop that habit of including people and being more diverse. So these relationships are going to start to build naturally and organically, and then you're able to absorb. Like you're saying, when you do this overload, you watch 15 movies and 10 books in 1 week. How are you able to process all this information? So you have to go gradually. Change is slow, but it can happen. But that's why I say you have to do meaningful change and meaningful conversations and meaningful actions, because then it's going to stick.
yeah,
If you're in it for the long haul, it's going to stick. You get to know me, maybe, and then maybe, another month I introduce you to Desiree, right? And then you're like, oh, and then it's just going to happen like that. But start with one. Don't start with everyone. Start with one, and then make that, get to know that person. And not every relationship that you attempt to build is going to stick, and that's totally fine, because I think everyone, vibes differently, and this could be Black, white, any race, really. I'm not saying be friends with every Black person you come in contact with, but at least you make that effort to get to know that person before you make a decision, before you make judgment.
right,
A lot of
right,
decisions are made automatically because of the color of your skin. So that's the issue. It's not like, oh, be my friend. Why aren't you my friend? That's not the point. Is, have you made an effort to get to know their businesses before you assume that the business is not good enough for you? Or before you assume that they're not professional? Have you even been around them? Do you even know? So maybe you come in the office and you're like, okay, I get it. Like, okay, my clients would feel comfortable in your space as well. And then you have a more open mind because now you're more educated. But there's an automatic blind that just, and then that doesn't help anyone.
right, right, right.
So that's what I've been pushing for. It's like baby steps, but at least try, and don't do anything. Don't do nothing. Just do something and be intentional about it and be honest about it. But before you do anything, check yourself. Like, do a review, do a self review, and then see what changes that you feel you have to. It's there. It's there. I mean, if you've done 100 weddings, look at
Yeah,
the people you referred. It's there.
yeah,
So if you've been honest with yourself, you'll catch it. And then it's up to you to make that change, by the way. Racism has been around for a long time. So, I don't know the outcome. I'm hopeful, but I'm also, I've been in this space for ever since I've been in business. So it's like nothing really is going back. We're hoping it gets better. But, let's not do this torture session for nothing. Tell our stories, go on these podcasts, go on these webinars, go on these lives, and then we go back to the way we were. that's not going to work for anyone, you
Right.
know?
Right. And that's
Yeah.
exactly, like, having those conversations. It shouldn't be the how many can I cram in this week or today.
Mm-hmm.
It really,
Mm-hmm.
really needs to be about that sustained effort, and
Yeah.
really, really thinking it through. And I love what you said. I think it's a really important point that understand that you should not just be looking for your token Black wedding professional that
Mm-hmm.
add into your network. You need to
Yeah.
get, just what you said, get to know them, do your research, right? You have
Yeah.
Google, Instagram, you can
Yeah.
do research and see what are they like. You can get a good sense of someone and get an understanding,
Yeah.
like, they seem professional? Do they seem like they're where I'm at in my business? Do they target the same type of client? Do they not?
Mm-hmm.
Is that not my
Mm-hmm.
client? Like, if you don't do
Yeah.
boho, it might
Right.
not fit. And lucky for
Right.
you, there's tons of other Black wedding professionals that you can choose from. It's not like there's
Yeah.
only five. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important for people to do that hard work and keep looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think too, like in you're saying, like, no people, I mean, we're in a place where people kind of know that what you do is good for their clients, but
Right.
I factor several things, including, you have to have a huge sense of insecurity to restrict yourself of what could benefit you.
Right.
So when we're doing that evaluation, we should look at ourselves, our insecurities, and like, why am I not working with this person when I know they do good work? I've never heard anything negative. Well, you've never even gotten to know them, so you don't even know they're good or bad,
Right. Right.
right? I'm in a city where people see me and they're like, oh, I love it. I see you on Instagram. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I've never seen you do. And I'm being honest, this is just reality, right? Where people know me in the city and they know my work, but that's it. You acknowledge and say your work is beautiful, but yet your clients isn't the, and in the previous live we shared how they take screenshots of the work that I do and they take it somewhere else. Those are the insults that we process and we have to deal with. If it's good enough to screenshot, if it's good enough for an inspiration, why not take it to the source? So it's
Right.
a respect thing as well. You have to respect the beauty that we create as well as the talent that created that.
Yeah.
And where we're lacking is you're not respecting the talent.
Right.
And it's not because we're not professional enough or we're not talented enough. It's simply because of the color of your skin or an assumption that you've made about that person because you haven't taken a minute to get to know them.
Right. Right.
And that's the problem. Are we helping the industry that way? Absolutely not. You
Yeah.
know? So, again, it's about understanding what change that needs to happen. I can't tell you what needs to change about you. You have to dig deep and find it. And then I'm open, my doors are open. I'm open to these conversations if I feel like it's real,
Right.
but you have to look deep and then be intentional with your outreach. And then maybe your goal this year is to get to know more people of color that do great things and express how much you have missed out on by not even getting to know them.
Right.
I shared in the previous live, I've been in Chicago for 8 years. I've been designing for six or more. And I've worked with two event planners in Chicago, one Black, one white.
Two?
That's it. Two.
Are you serious?
In my entire floral career. Yes.
No.
In
No.
Chicago. 100%. Two. So knowing that, my efforts are more. I generate my own clients.
Right.
I don't have besides referral from past clients. It's just, and that's not how it is. I know how it is with other designers. That's not how it is. And people say, "Oh, you do planning as well." And my question is like, and so what?
No, there's
If you came to me as a planner, and you come to me as a designer, I stay in my lane.
yeah.
And I design and I will work my butt off to make sure that I make you proud and I do right by your clients. And we all win.
Yeah. And there's
So
tons of collaborations with planners and
yeah,
designers,
yeah.
floor designers who also do planning, but they're hired just to do the floor, like tons.
But there's no problem. And it comes from, I see two things. It's just pure ignorance. And I also see a sense of insecurity because you bring in, you're saying, how is that going to work? Someone asking, like, if I bring my clients, how is that going to work? I'm like, how does it work with other florists that you work with? It's the same thing. We come up with a concept, we do our thing, I implement, I deliver, I kick butt for you, and then we're all happy. What? I don't understand. So I just refuse to go there in my mind because I don't want to be defined by these insane practices. They're immature. They're just unnecessary in my opinion. So are we helping the industry by cutting people out because
Right,
you don't even know, you haven't even given me a chance to prove you wrong.
right.
Give me a chance to maybe mess up and say, okay, now that I know this is how you work, but at least give yourself that opportunity, open that door and walk through that fire.
Yeah,
But people are just not doing that. And when I say that, people's mouths are like, what? Literally, my clients find me on their own, and that's how I've run my business, and I'm aware of that. And I'm not going to say it's because I do good work or whatever. I do what I do, and they tell me, oh, I love your work. Oh my God, amazing. I'm like, interesting, because you're yet to even come to my office to even meet me and get to know my team or how my process is.
right,
And
right.
it's unfortunate. And I a lot of things I refuse to say it's race, but the truth is it's race because I know how it works with other people. Yes, it's insecurity, but there's a race factor in
Right.
that. I also shared about in the beginning of my career how um, I felt like it was more, the responses I got were more like, who the hell is this person? And almost like a how dare you without saying that,
So
like, where did you
before,
come from?
hold on.
Huh?
I want you to explain that because when you say people were like, how dare you? Was it in,
Not verbally.
okay,
It felt more like, who is, because I'm a go-go. If I have an idea, I'm gonna go for it. So I launched my career was fast. I launched planning, I dived into design, I never went to floral school. Everything is self-taught. I was just go, go, go. I did my book, I launched my home line. I've just been go, go, go. And when I tell people how many people in Chicago even that even supported me when I launched my book, you would be shocked by those numbers. The people that actually purchased my book and supported me were not even in my city, you know? And we threw a whole lunch party and people showed up, but no one, support. That's another conversation. But all these things come from a place of, I'm just going to go see what's going on over there. And is it true support? We talk about community all the time in our industry. Are supportive? Are we really community over competition? And the answer is no. That's
yeah,
just a phrase that we like to throw around. And if we were to look inwards and really analyze our industry, we're not, and I speak for the one I experience, it's a small group that's supportive and it's a small group that just are on their own. But yet we portray this kumbaya community, but that's not how it is. That's
right.
not how I experienced it. That's not how I felt it. And that's just the truth. I don't talk about it a lot, but this is where we are.
Yeah,
If we truly want to embrace it another, give me a chance to prove you right or wrong, but at least
yeah,
give that person a chance. Let me wow you and your clients. The
right.
people that have put all that stuff aside and have worked with me have never left my side, from photography to stationery to planners and designers. But do yourself a favor and get to know somebody dope, because my business is always going to run. It has I told you, I've worked with two wedding planners in my entire career. Not because I don't want to, but because they
I'm not,
refuse. They're
that's,
so terrified. I'm being honest with you, and God is my witness. They're terrified to step through my doors. So
I
I have, with all the
like that.
challenges, run my business solo. I generate my own leads, and my clients come to me. And that's how I run my business. So even with all those challenges, I would say like one of the reasons why I even coach is like I want to be proof to people that you can do it. I want to prove to people that regardless of race and all these things that you can still do it. You can still shine. But does it have to be so hard? No, but it is. You know? So I'm challenging these people that are out there and are woke and are hashtagging and stuff like that. But I know that the behavior is just that's the problem. It's not the fact that you're not sharing a black screen or you're not hashtagging. I don't care about those, to be honest. I care about your intentions and your heart. And a lot of people are, their hearts are not in the right place. It's very me, but you can't even succeed without great talents. And by excluding great black talents, you're excluding yourself from growing as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's a cycle of just bad habits and really just unacceptable behavior, and it is what it is, you know. I focus on my business. I refuse to let that define me, and I refuse to let that be my, no one can tell me who I'm going to be in my business, and that's always been my drive. That's why I'm so driven, and I look at the people that look up to me, and I cannot let them down,
Right.
regardless. That is my number one mission. Now, if people all of a sudden are woke and say, "Oh, Kesh, I want to get to know more about your services and what you do," I thought it was pretty obvious, but okay, let's try there. You're welcome. You're welcome to come in my office and have a glass of champagne. I'm pretty open. What you see here is what you see in real life. But a lot of people that I are around, they're just not open. They're not open. I don't know. I always say, like, I feel like I'm the gasoline and you have the matchbox. So we're just afraid to clash. Like, we're gonna light each other on fire. It's okay. We don't bite. I'm just dark skinned, but I don't bite. It's okay. I'm being so serious. Like, this is a problem in our industry.
Yeah. And
So
so first of all, I love the fact that you're willing to say it out loud, because I think those are things that, having built and overcome so many obstacles and getting to where
yeah.
you, a lot of people just kind of assume that, oh, your experience is like anyone else at that level, right? And that you would be working like that. Planners would be like knocking down your door. Venues would literally be like getting in line to book you.
Yeah, venues are more open. Planners too.
Like, clearly there's an insecurity. That's number one. But
Right.
two, in terms of, okay, now that you've experienced this wokeness, like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna be woke, but I'm gonna be woke over here on my own. So that's not really being woke.
Right.
Like,
It's just so you can feel better, because if you truly want to see change, and you have to be the change you're seeking first and foremost, and second, you would start to make these efforts.
yeah,
I'm not going to start saying, "Hey, it's me, black girl. Are you willing to work with me now?" I'm not doing that, because I've
right,
been fine where I'm at. I'm
right,
doing just fine in my business. So if
right,
you're willing to work together,
yeah,
collaborate, and not do me a favor, I'm my doors are wide open with champagne,
yeah,
always. But until then, we'll keep trucking, because it's just what it is. And I said earlier, these conversations are deep. It's not we can talk about this all week.
yeah,
It's so deep. There's so many layers to it. You can look at vendor lists at venues and look at the people that are on there, and it's the same names. And it's not because there are more talent, there are not any more talented people out there. It's just what it is.
right, right,
I've had people where a band member would recommend me to the client, and the planner was sliding and say, "Oh no, you would not be working with her." And they cut that out completely. And I cannot for the life of me understand that. It's happened many times. I've been standing in a venue, and the venue manager. I brought a client to a venue, by the way, and the venue manager walks in with a flyer from another design company and is like, "Call these people. They're fantastic." and I'm standing right there in front of you.
Are you
So
serious?
what would you do behind my back? So those are the disrespects that I talk about that we have to swallow, to be honest, because if I reacted there, I would be on social media as the angry, crazy Black girl.
Right, right.
You know, I shared that prior to 2 weeks ago, we couldn't have these conversations openly because I would be recorded and reposted all over social medias. Oh my God, she's lost it. She's ranting. So we just don't say anything. We're silent. And it is absolutely ridiculous. In Chicago, there's the same venue I was talking about, has told another planner and designer, you might want to go find something else to do. There's another, because there already is a Black designer doing well in Chicago. What are you trying to say? There's only room for one? You know, there's only one spot? This is ridiculous.
No.
It's beyond ridiculous. And when people just talk about it, like, I'm like, you don't live through that pain and you don't live through that frustration.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stay up all night. You don't have to work and take, like, there's so many stories, even some I can't share, that's happened in weddings where my mouth was literally on the floor. You know, I've had situations where someone would not shake my hand, but instead they hand me their coat in my own office. You know, but this is reality. But you get to do your wine at the restaurants, and we don't get to do those things. You know,
Right.
I also share, like, if I went live, and I shared with my friend I was talking to, I'm like, if I went live today and my hair was like in a bun and I had no makeup on, it would be screenshotted everywhere because they were like, uh-oh, insane, right? But then if someone else, my white friends, did it, it's cute because they
Right.
have this messy bun. And those are the things we're talking about. It's not a fair world out there. So we have to, when we say we have to work 10 times harder, that's what I'm talking about. Because if I dare not be in brand mode one time, I'm labeled,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
I've lost it. That's what people remember. If I dare speak up when a racist client says something ridiculous to me, then I've lost it. That's the only thing they see. They don't see the hard work. They don't see the
Right.
abuse. They don't see the insults. You only see that, and it's beyond ridiculous. You know? So
Yeah.
these are issues that we deal with every single day.
Yeah.
While our white friends are sleeping, we're working
Right.
because we have to work 10 times harder.
Right.
You know, I have to, you know, and regardless, we show up and we build and still, we still can't get a fair shot.
Right. Wow.
And everyone is hanging out like, oh, why are they so angry? What world are you living in?
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I think I'm hoping that that's the wokeness that will even permeate the other world that
Let's
they're
hope. I will send you a bottle of Dom if there's change. I'm not doubting, but so much has happened
I
that
know.
you have to make me a believer.
And
You
I
really
think
do.
that's what so first of all, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to share this. And second of all, you know,
Happy to.
those are the things that I want people to know. Like I want people to
Mm-hmm.
hear about, you know, number one, it doesn't matter if you are 5 million times better than most florists or all florists. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it permeates all of that, whether you
Yeah.
are top of your game or you're just starting out. They just said we only have a minute and 54 seconds left. They're gonna kick us off.
I'm so mean. It was
It's
just getting good.
I know.
It's fine.
But those are the things that, like, I think it's important that people hear it, and they hear it not once, not twice, but they hear it from lots of people who they look up to, they look for inspiration to, because to
Yeah.
understand that this is not just a problem for, oh, maybe you don't have enough education, or maybe you don't have enough, you know, clients, or maybe, no, this is like across the board, and it doesn't matter where you are in the country, in the world, this is happening. And not only do you need to be aware of it, but you need to do something about it. And so, I mean,
Well, first you need to process it, and you need to process it, because I feel like right now it's like a bouncy ball, like boop, 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 and everyone is like, oh, that sounds awful. Anyway, here's my lunch. that's not, it's not sinking in. So compassion is first. You have to first try to put yourself in people's shoes, and I can only pray. I'm like, we're gonna need more wine. That's gonna be the
I
name
know,
of
right?
my next company, because yeah, there's a lot. So again, I'm hopeful, and I'm gonna hold the people that are speaking up accountable. But you know, I'm also, I have a plan B always. Plan B is to do what I'm doing and keep rocking on my own. We've been great on our own.
Yeah.
I've been doing perfectly fine on my own. Can I do better? Absolutely. But I'm not going to, there's nothing I can do,
Right.
So it's just to keep leveling up your business, control what you can, and just keep doing the best that you can to keep showing up. That's it.
And that's it. Thank you so much, Akeshi.
Yeah.
Good
Thanks for
talk.
having me.
No, I
Yeah.
like I always love chatting with you and love your perspective. So